So turn off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for another recap of on last week's episode. We hope you ate your waffles today and cleaned the plate because we have a full menu of things to talk about today. But before we get into that, Dee, how's it going?
Hi, kids. What's for dinner? I cannot believe you just really had that whole thing planned out. It was nice. I'll give you credit for it. I appreciate it.
I try to
How are
come
you?
prepared. I try to come prepared.
How are you on this glorious day?
Disturbed
A little
because
bit. It's a
yeah,
little disturbing. Yeah.
yeah. Typically, I watch the episodes earlier, like Friday night when they drop, but I watched this one a little later, so
Why?
it's fresher on my mind than usual. Don't do. Let's not. Don't get
What
it.
happened?
Nothing happened.
Hmm. You seem sad. Like there's sadness covering you for some reason.
You know what? Let's just talk about the episode.
But it's April. I don't know. This seems to be a carryover
Yes,
from March.
it's April, not March. But anyway, we're here to talk about episode 8. As D said, this episode is entitled "What's for Dinner," and D, this episode title is a callback to what exactly you mentioned this, earlier.
Okay. So episode one, when Petey meets Mark in what's it called? What's the diner called? The place he got the card for his injury. Is it Phipps?
Ah, yeah, it's some
Something
like
like that. I don't know.
yeah.
Phipps might be right because I don't know where else I would get that from, but that's where they met. And when Petey sat down, the first thing he said to Mark was, "Hey kids, what's for dinner?" And Mark looked at him and didn't understand. He said, "Oh, you don't get that." And I think he either said, "You don't get that out here," or "It's okay, you don't get it." And then the next day, when Mark went to work after Urban finished his wellness session, he came in and said, "Hi, kids, what's for dinner?" So this is all a callback to Urban. And I thought about it too. Um, it can kind of also go with the whole not dinner that they went to on the first episode because nothing was for dinner, literally.
Yeah.
So yeah. And they also never know what's for dinner because they don't eat there. Well, they eat, in the vending machines. But the four of them, when he comes in and says, "Hi, kids, what's for dinner?" they actually clearly have no idea. Because at best, they have what, lunch? I would think.
Yeah, lunch, snacks. Yeah.
Eggs, melon parties,
Mm.
raisins, M&Ms, snacks. You know what?
So,
But I hadn't thought about that. They don't get a proper lunch, right? Like all I've seen them eat are the choices in the vending machine, and that's what
mm,
walnuts and raisins and snacks. But they should get a lunch break, shouldn't
yeah, so basically they have their tokens which they can trade in for something at the vending machine. And I've often heard of the legend of vending machine sandwiches, but I refuse to believe that they are real things. So
they? They
that
exist.
that in itself is inhumane. Like outside of everything else that Lumen is doing, like serving people vending machine food is like just inhumane, like on so many levels.
They exist. Sometimes there's an
No,
outage, and you're at a plant, and you're there for
no,
a long time,
mm-mm,
and that chicken salad sandwich has been in there forever. No, I'm just kidding. They
absolutely
restock them
not.
pretty frequently, I
Nah,
assume.
nah. Who is making the sandwiches?
Pimento cheese sandwich,
Absolutely not.
the tuna sandwich.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, you can finish that.
But yeah, so we opened this episode with a glimpse into Irving's life, and we finally get an answer about the black goo. And I initially thought that the black substance on his fingers was dirt, like the black substance under his nails. But now we know that that's paint, and that also explains the black goo that he sees when he's falling asleep. So I think we were kind of onto something with that one, which is why they don't encourage people to well, I shouldn't say they discourage people from falling asleep at work, because if you fall asleep, like basically clues from your outie life might seep into work, and that's why he sees the black goo overtaking him. So D, what'd you think about when you like saw that glimpse into Irving's life at first?
Of course, he's a painter. That's the first thing I thought. Like, of course, he's a painter. Because why else would he be so fascinated with all the paintings that O and D are doing? Like,
Uh-huh.
the whole Kier thing, fine, but the paintings in particular, he had a very particular interest in the
Mhm.
paintings themselves, and it made, like, as soon as I saw them, like, it was a pissed a little bit that it didn't even cross my mind that that's what could have been a
That he's a
good
painter.
thing, right? Like, of course he's a painter, but I guess my thought never went to black paint. Maybe it had been
Mhm.
something more vibrant, maybe, but black just made me think, like you said, of goo or blood that can't be shown as red because then it would be rated R. That's all I could think of. Um, but it's interesting you said the whole fall asleep thing, because I'm thinking, just as when you go to sleep, your outside creeps into your innie because it's the same subconscious. That's got to be what's going on with Urban, right? Because how else would he have known to paint the elevator? And that elevator is different than the one he gets on to go home. So how does he know that elevator?
Oh, good questions. Yeah. Like I hadn't even considered that actually, but yeah, now that you mention it, like the subconscious has to be like a two-way street. Like, and it doesn't just creep one way. So yeah, like and what's wild is like when we have dreams, like you're kind of like have you ever had the dream where like you like, I feel like I know this person from somewhere. I feel like I've seen this building before. That could very well be like what's happening with like their Audis.
Yeah, I have. And dreams are tricky too, because they're like, the dream is one person, but it's
Hmm.
actually somebody else.
Hmm.
That also kind of ties into it, because that's how it works with Harmony slash Mrs. Selvig, because
Hmm.
she is this person, but she's not out here and all of this stuff, but whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of need to get into that elevator a little bit more. Are we gonna come back to it? Because I got questions.
No, no, go ahead. No.
Okay, because the thing that freaked me out the most is one. Okay, so Casey. Casey
Hmm.
specifically got on this elevator, and of
Hmm.
of course you can tell it's different because she's going on, like, down a long dark corridor to get to her elevator. The other elevators don't look like that. They just out
Right.
in the hallway. So again, my biggest, I guess, question, because when the paintings happened, when he was painting in the beginning, I'm like, what in the world is he painting? And then I had no idea what it was. But my husband called it. He was like, hey, that's the elevator from Urban's paintings. Like when the doors closed on Casey, and you could
Hmm.
see the red triangle. But I'm wondering, if Urban doesn't go that way, how does he even know that? Like, I think that's the biggest thing. How does he know that elevator? When has he seen that elevator? Because it
All
seems
right.
like he takes the same one as everybody else.
All right, so that question leads to like other questions, because when Miss Casey is sent down the hallway, like the events that precede that, we're told that she's going to the testing department. So what the hell is the testing department?
What is the testing floor? Casey has to be explained. That's I think my biggest concern out of the whole thing, because everything else makes sense, and I've trusted the show so much at this point because they've done a perfect job of answering all of
Mhm.
the questions in very clever ways. Casey is a little different because, of course, I was reaching back and trying to make sense of her, because I'm like, well, wait, maybe she's not dead. Maybe we're just making it up that she's dead. But they've said specifically that she died. Rickon said Mark's late wife, and Mark said my wife died in a car accident about 2 years
Yeah.
ago. So all of our theories about she left him and this is just fresh and he's just not going to get over, all that's out the window, unless Mark is an unreliable narrator as well.
Or
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 if if Mark himself died.
then explain his sister and brother-in-law. These people
I
see
mean,
him outside.
no,
Alexa
and
too.
no, and I get that,
Oh,
but what I'm saying is like, all right, so
so everybody's
I'm
made up.
just I'm just gonna go ahead and jump ahead a bit because
Okay.
my apologies for not knowing who to attribute this to, but Andy Weir, who wrote the story The Martian, he has a short story called I think The Egg Story, if I'm not mistaken. And
Or it might just
in
be the
this,
egg.
yeah, I think it's just the egg, right? I
Yeah.
think it's just the egg. But in that, the main character dies in a car crash, and it's about basically um, afterlife and reincarnation. And we've been saying the whole time that Kier, excuse me, Lumen itself is like an allegory for the afterlife, not even the afterlife, like clearly hell. So, like, what if? And we've been toying with the idea of Kier himself, like basically transplanting his consciousness into like people later down the line. So it's got to be something here because I mean, I don't know how to connect it, but like that's that's not a coincidence.
I have a question for you. I am not in the medical field, and thankfully, I haven't been in any situations where I've had to be at a hospital for a prolonged amount of time. I do watch a lot of TV though, and I know it's not always the most accurate depiction, but remember when we were talking about Cobell's shrine in the hospital bracelet and
Mm,
everything else she had? Well, this last time when we saw it, it looked as if she grabbed, if I'm not mistaken, some sort of breathing apparatus,
mm,
like a breathing tube, which was
it
like something
was.
that maybe was connected to a ventilator or
Hmm.
something of that nature. So is she?
Is she?
This is also going back to us saying maybe that is her bracelet. Like maybe she is Charlotte because the bracelet said what 46 or something.
Mm,
It was a time it was longer than she appears to look. That's what I'm saying. It's like whatever age was
right.
on that bracelet, she looks younger than that. So could she be one of? And if she is, isn't firing her kind of risky? Isn't firing her in general kind of risky? Or is it like it seems like you were kind of implying? This is all Mark's just made up coma dream.
No. I know that for sure. I know that it isn't like I know for sure because there are like way too many like moving pieces on the outside for it to be made up. So so I know that for sure. But I think that to answer this question, like will get us closer to like what Lumen like really does. And we know they are like in basically like they're like basically like a big pharma company, but at the same time, like these chips, like what do they do exactly?
Mm-hmm.
Like and I think we're getting like almost there to like answering that question about like what they really do. And and by the way, to take a step back, I read an interview with Ben Stiller, and he much like I hates eggs so much that he considered changing the egg party because he simply like hates eggs. I do too. Like the sight of them like makes me like nauseous. But
They're delicious and nutritious.
but anyway, but
What? No, 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 no. Not anyway. There are like a million, literally a million ways to prepare eggs, and you don't like
mm,
any
any of
way.
them, any of them.
Wow.
I mean, eggs as an emulsifier, are cool. Like to like mix into like brownie batter or something like cool to make French toast with cool, but to like eat eggs themselves, like no. But
Okay. I mean, okay.
but he said he did not
Very.
change it because eggs are central to the story. Like he said the phrase specifically, eggs are central to this story.
That makes sense on the whole egg short story.
Mhm.
Very much so. Like it makes sense.
Once again, a car crash.
Literally, and that's what happened. And if you haven't read the egg, it's available, and it's
Mm,
maybe a
mm.
page, but it's a beautiful story. It's very much a short story. You can read it in 5 minutes, but it's nice. And I don't know if y'all have seen A Good Place. For people who have seen A Good Place, spoiler alert. the idea of how life kind of works and ends and begins and ends and begins until you get to a point where you are all that you can be, and then you just kind of either go away. That is the idea of The Good Place as well, except in the egg, you become a god at that point. And if you can become a god, like people say all the time, if you believe in God, for the contrary, you have to believe in Satan. So is this a thing where, like, after you've done everything else, you become the demon spawn of the earth, and that's what Kiri is now?
It has to be. Like,
So
he
the
has to be.
opposite approach to this, like the bizarro person from the
Yeah.
egg. That's
Yeah,
scary.
because like the way they've chose his name with like his name literally is like the dark one. So
Mhm.
yeah.
I don't. Okay. Since we're kind of skipping around, y'all, we always record this assuming that everybody's seen the episode. So with that said, do you want to kind of talk about that picture that you mentioned? Because let's talk about the plan first, because we can get to that.
Right. So let's discuss the plan first. Right. Um so Haley is near completion with
Helly, what? Like, this is gonna be important, Lex.
oh yeah, Haley R. So
Mm-hmm.
Haley is near completion with the project. And if she gets 100%, then the entire Macrodata Refinement team basically meets their quota for the quarter. So she reaches that quota, and we see, animated. Well, we hear animated Ben Stiller saying, basically, congrats, you've reached the peak, you reached the mountaintop. So
I
that's
love
where
you.
we get to. Yeah, I love you. So that's where we get to the egg party, but at the same time, um, Mark S, the leader of the team, gets to pick someone to go to the Waffle Party, which is located in perpetuity. But before we get there, they basically rehash the plan. So Haley is telling him like, "Hey, like I can stay if you want me to," and Dylan's like, "No, I got this. It has to be me." So everyone basically agrees to the plan, and they all agree that the moment they wake up, they know they're not going to have long. So basically, like scream from like the rooftops everything you can about Lumen and what they're doing, and say like this is your inside self saying this, because at the very least people know that like you're severed, so that won't be a secret, but you're able to now like tell the secrets of the company. So they're trying to get this done in the small amount of time that they'll have for Dylan to like basically switch their chip off.
Okay. I want to add that, because I don't think it's supposed to be missed. Helly did not necessarily force it that she was going to do it, but she was trying her best to be the person
Mm,
to stay.
mm,
And I don't I don't know if that was just her being nice because she knows that Dylan has a son and thinking, hey, you could go and see this kid again, or if there's something else. And I don't think there is, because Helly's any can't know anything if she's legit severed. And I think they purposefully showed us that she's had the operation. So she's
mm.
not just in there infiltrating. She is severed. This is a thing that is real. So plus they showed her, repeatedly trying to get out. So it's not like she's just in there infiltrating, because that would have been kind of lazy, right? If they just never showed us and
Yeah,
then
I
all of
don't
a
think
sudden
she
like,
is.
oh,
Yeah.
she never was, but she is. So it's just weird. I don't say it's weird. I think they made it a point to show us that she's really a part of this team, any Helly at least. So whatever she is outside, that's why I think I'm just confused about the whole her infiltrating, but seeing her outie, I don't know now. I don't know. She very well
Yeah.
could be. I mean, she could be. But I want to say too, before we get to that, the Waffle Party is very interesting. It's very much waffles. Like, you go and you eat waffles. That's what you do. You have a plate of waffles, and then after you complete your plate of waffles, there's a note or on the, well, it's not a note. engraved in the plate is now go to the leader's bed or the bed of Kier or something like that. And they play out this scenario, right? Where they have a whip and it has how many tails? The 9?
Yeah, the 9 virtues are
9
like
virtues.
basically etched into the whip.
And you put on this face, this mask of Kier, and then these 4 people come in and do this seductive dance for you while also wearing these very creepy masks. And Ronnie showed me a picture that shows this is a depiction of the picture. This is different than the picture from when he pulled his wife from the fire or whatever it is. Okay.
Right.
So that's
Like,
what's up on the screen now. If y'all can't see it, I wish you could. I hope you're watching this because yeah. So it's
so
there.
to describe the picture, we see and by the way, the way these portraits are painted are very much of like the Roman Catholic like influence, like very like light, behind a particular figure, making them seem like divine. So we see Kier here holding a whip. Then we see like 4 figures like basically like submitting to Kier's will. So we see the picture where Mark is basically waiting in the lobby, and then once again when this is when Bert first meets Irving, correct?
I thought that was when Bert was in wellness. He was at wellness.
Oh yeah. This is outside the wellness room, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting.
And also, let me point this out. By the way, you should go read the Ben Stiller interview in Variety. He does say that the objective of the Waffle Party is yes, you you can have sex with these figures if you want to. That is your reward. Which raises the next question. What would have happened if Philly got the Waffle Party? But anyway, because but then again, it seems like a 3-1 split from what I could tell. So yeah, so I guess you could get to pick your poison. Yeah,
pick your poison, or have it all. You know what I mean? Who needs to pick?
Yeah, why choose? Have it all. Yeah.
My question to you though, because you said that they were intended to be there for your pleasure. I'm wondering, were they supposed to beat him because the whip was there? Is it like if you are enjoy BDSM type thing, you could beat them because the whip is there. It looks like the picture, and you got the Kier face on.
So here's my read on it, because they are basically in a lower ranking department. They are basically subordinates. So your reward is to basically be Kier and be the authoritative figure here, and basically submit your will unto people for your pleasure. Yeah, whoever they are. So yeah, I think that's why you put on the face of Kier, so you can like feel that power you typically don't feel for once. Okay.
And just keep in mind, Dylan was very excited about the last time. Those shits are legit. But he completed the task. And before we get to that, because that's the end, let's talk about Casey a little bit.
Right.
Because the another stipulation Harmony placed on Mark was that she wanted him to do another wellness session for the end of a quarter. Now she told Milchick this, and he did not seem happy about it at all. Because he's like, why are we doing this again? Like, what's the point? And she did that thing where she's got that threatening stare, like almost waiting on you to say something. And in that chastisement that she was telling Milchick, that she says, Grainer is with Kier now, and I'm sure everybody is satisfied with you. And I'm thinking, well, what did that have to do with the rest of the sentence? Like, was it a threat? What was it? Was it reminding them that they could die? I don't know. I just thought it was very interesting that she threw it out there, because it didn't seem to go with the rest of it. It was almost like, don't challenge me. Grainer's dead. I'm sure you're doing well, but yeah. And then she left. So the wellness session went well. It was Casey. And we find out that Casey's only been alive for Casey, as we know her, Danny Casey, has been alive for 107 hours. And she says most of the time was spent in those 30-minute increments, except for the 8 hours she was with the rest of the team monitoring Helly. She said that's the longest she's been awake. I found that quite interesting. Most of all, though, is that she got fired. And in that time, Mark did seem very concerned and upset in thinking of her, because I think he's taking the blame for it. He feels like it's his fault that she got fired because they kind of, left her. But Casey asked him specifically, why do you care what happens to me? And you could see Harmony kind of looking like, yes, this is it. This is it. This is it. And he's like, I mean, because you're part of a person, but you're still a person. Like, you're still a person and I care. And then they went right back into wellness. And from what I gathered, Harmony looked disappointed. Like, she looked like, oh, well, fine. And Milchick's like, well, this is what we want. The chip works. They don't recognize each other. And to me, that was like, okay, so now we definitely have to explain Casey, because we put it out there now. This is her. This is Gemma. Because he said it's good they don't recognize each other. That means the chip works. So it's not a twin. It's not any of that stuff. That is Gemma. Gemma is Casey. Casey is Gemma. And they have to explain themselves to your girl. I need answers. Now, with that said, though, my question to you is Harmony a baby? I can't tell.
So I think, so clearly, like going back to our like religious zealot theory, like Harmony is clearly like a believer in care. But think about it this way. Like let's say you are like a fundamentalist, like Christian, and you're like, God created Earth in 7 days, but then someone presents like hard proof to you that like, oh, there were several periods, and then there was evolution that happened. Like that would like blow your mind, and then you would be like, well, why do you keep telling me this when I see proof that this is true? And basically insert like the theory of like reintegration into that. I think that like her fixating on that doesn't really jive with like her like the core beliefs of Kier, because they keep telling her like it's not possible. So I think that division there is going to like make her like create her own path. And I don't think she's necessarily good. I think she's going to be more of like a, I guess for like a better terms, like an anti-hero, I guess. But I do think like as we see later, and we'll get there, that she will probably be in favor of people exposing the board, because maybe she doesn't feel like that they align with like the true teachers of Kier or whatever, or maybe she doesn't even know what the true teachers of Kier are anymore.
That could make sense. Remind me, last week she had some leverage. What was it?
So the leverage she had was basically everything that she recovered from Petey's chip. But now that doesn't matter, because, and I don't even know why I didn't think of this, but it makes sense. And also her reaction to Mark S makes sense, but she kept Helly S's attempted suicide secret from the board. But I guess Milchick took exception to her little comment, and he passed those photos along.
But why doesn't that matter anymore? Why is that leverage no longer hers? Because that's the first thing I thought about. I was like, no, she had something because she demanded a meeting, and now they fired her. Like that doesn't matter anymore, but it should still matter, I would think.
I mean, it should still matter, but at the same time, I think they're kind of looking at her like, you can't even keep your own house in order, so we don't even want to hear from you anymore.
But see, my thought is you would not want to piss her off still, because she knows so much.
Because in my opinion, hear her out, and then after that, be like, "Oh yeah, let's talk about these photos now." Now you can leave.
Now you can leave. Because my thought was, again, even this was before I knew that the party was happening, or the I'm assuming it's a party that they're having, or a gala, or get together,
Yeah.
or like a boondoggle, as people call them, where everybody's coming to the building at the end of the day. I thought she was just gonna go in there and blow this shit up. Like, all right, well, fine. Since I got fired, this is what I'm gonna do. But maybe she can't get in the building anymore because they took a badge. I don't know.
She most definitely cannot get in that building, which is
Right,
interesting
but
for another character. But yeah,
would she have been there? You think?
she would have been there.
Yeah. So
But thinking about this as well, like circling back to that question we just asked, we have to ask ourselves if, and I think this will make it like a little easier to swallow. Like, does she know who is on the board? And I'm inclined to say no. And if we are to say the answer is no, then the board won't reveal themselves to her now that they see this thing that's like obviously a fireable offense, so they don't even think they're worth like revealing themselves to her now. So they're just like, yeah, you could get out of here and basically take whatever you know with you, because nobody's going to believe you anyway.
So is it Victoria or Natalie? What's her name?
Natalie.
Valerie? Natalie, Victoria, Natalie? Her from the board. So do you think she knows who's on the board? Is she like, I know she's the face, right? At this point, but you think she knows who she's taking the orders from? Like, does anybody know who the board are? Is it just some elusive, who knows?
Yeah, I'm inclined to believe that. Yeah.
You think she knows?
No. I don't think even she knows.
So nobody knows who the board is. Natalie. Natalie. So she doesn't know. Okay, so nobody knows. She's just the mouthpiece in the face. Okay. Fair. I'm okay with that. So let's go to Dylan. I mean, he did it. Yay. No. Let's go to Helen and Mark. Because now my thoughts are I know.
taking work husband to another level. Yeah.
We're gonna consummate the marriage. I'm sorry. But my question was, it felt like they were flirting, and I was like, oh, maybe it's just like a work spouse type situation, right? But he did seem to still have that link to Casey, because again, yes, they were concerned, and yes, maybe it was his fault, but it did feel like he felt more towards Casey than everybody else. Like he was more affected by it. And I know that Dylan had a crush on her, but that's just, it's physical. That's whatever. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Mark seemed to be deeply concerned about her well-being. And I'm wondering if that's still, like we were saying before, that tethered to her because he was in love with her, he was married to her, he's linked to her, is still there, whether he's conscious of it or not. Like a soulmate type situation. And I will say, Helly, I was shocked because I thought they were going to kiss before they got in the elevator. And when she got on, I'm like, oh. But then she got off, and I'm like, oh. So they kiss now. So how is that going to work? And why does he want to quit? So many things are happening. Okay, so Mark's outing goes to his sister and Rickon's party. Oh, I also love the fact that they finally told everybody, like, this book, this is what I've been reading. Right, this is it. Page 197 slaps. And they're bonding over this common, I won't say adoration, respect for what's written on these pages. Right, they really like this message, which is cool. And now that he's at Rickon's house, my thought was, as you said, Mark told them, find somebody you trust and tell them everything you can. I immediately got afraid because I was like, oh shit, he's going to tell Harmony, it's going to blow it all up. But I'm like, oh no, he'll recognize her as Harmony, not as Mrs. Selvig, as Harmony. So this is perfect because he knows both of them. His innie knows one, his outie knows the other one. So he doesn't have to worry about that. But he's going to recognize Rickon because he wrote the book. So I'm thinking, hopefully it shuts on, because my assumption is that Dylan did it, right? Like that's the guess, that he actually got it done. I'm assuming he's gonna go to tell Rickon what happened, but Irvin's gonna be by himself. So
Mhm.
Into the dog? Like what's gonna happen with that?
Yeah, like Irving is the one I'm worried about the most because I mean, like, really, like, who's he gonna tell?
Who does he think he is? Like once he sees himself painting, is it all just gonna make sense to him? Because again, he's seen it under his nails. He didn't know what it was,
Mhm.
but he's seen it. So that kind of kills our gardener theory too, by the way.
Oh yeah. The Gardner theories
That's
has
good.
been out of here. So yeah,
But what is he going to do? And how long is Dylan gonna be in there?
I mean, he can't be in there for long, right?
I mean, well, I mean, if he was supposed to be able to do whatever with the people, they might give him some time. Like he might have this amount of allotted time for the waffle party, and he has time to go do whatever he wants to do and come back. Now, the people who are involved, are they going to do something, or are they just going to,
I
or is
mean,
their
because
job just to be there and just submit to whatever happens in the
surely
room?
Goathead is gonna go get Millicek and be like, "Hey, like we were about to get busy. We looked up and he wasn't here anymore. So I
So
mean, I guess we got to find him. Yeah.
what do we do now? Right. So, and again, that party's happening. So, I mean, so it's a lot of moving pieces. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how long, like you said, between what's going on. Because from what they were showing us, the implication is that Haley's at some event, which we're assuming is the
Mhm.
Lumen get together, right? That's what
Mhm.
we're in agreement of that. We think Haley's at the Lumen party. Irvin's home painting. Mark's with his family. So they've had enough time to get home and go to their respective places. So he's been there for a minute. Who's got a child? Is he got a
Yeah.
wife
I mean, obviously he has to have. Well, I won't say obviously, but I mean,
or a spouse or a partner or something, somebody or a
so yeah,
parent or somebody's there to take care of his child in his
it's
absence, I'm sure.
hmm.
But
Also another thing I want to quickly point out. So as Dylan is like loading like the profiles onto the screen, like if you notice, like numbers keep jumping. Numbers keep jumping, and those numbers go back to the hex code, represent the four tempers. So remember color psychology. So like
mhm.
this person, so clearly like a person has just gone from like happy to like sad to like melancholy to like possibly like angry at the moment. So we see the colors jumping. Like so go back and look at that scene and you can see like their colors jumping, and those are the same like scary numbers that excuse me, the numbers are jumping, and those are the same scary numbers that you see on their computer screens.
That they're refining, whatever
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is. Um Irvin is mad, and this is also, I want to say, a testament to your theory about harmony, kind of having an idea of what this whole thing is about and it turning out to be something else, because he smashed the egg in the Bible or one of the chapters of the Bible. And he's very clearly angry with Kier, it feels.
Hmm.
And it's just like all of it is interesting how it's now turning into, we had this very strong belief in this thing and now it's turning into a
Hmm.
lie and nothing makes sense. So now I'm mad. I don't know what he's gonna do. My first thought is he's definitely gonna be trying to find Bert, but he doesn't have time. He doesn't even know who he is, so he's not gonna be able to get to him. I don't think.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. 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 Why does Mark want to quit? That was my other question. Is it
I
Alexa?
think
Did she get to him?
no, I think we were kind of getting here. I think just over time, like I guess this is a testament to how much of a banger fuck Lumen is because he was like, once I heard that track, it changed my life. And, but no, seriously, I think we've been like slowly getting to the point where Mark has just been like, you know what, because I think he even says it in a scene. He's like, yeah, like the reason why I signed up for Lumen, like, yeah, I don't need it anymore. I think he's finally reaching that point because it's not because clearly this isn't something like he wanted to do. Like he just join Lumen for like grief purposes. So I think he's finally getting to a place where he's like, yeah, I don't need this anymore.
Okay, and that's beautiful. However, this
Yeah,
operation is irreversible.
yeah, not how it works.
So that has been my biggest question. When you quit the job, then what happens? Because they still have control over the chip in your brain. So is this the point where they turn on overtime?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there is no quitting the job, like, because no one's resignation letter has been accepted. So I'm inclined to believe that you can only be retired or suspended. But yeah, you're in there for life. I mean, they give you the illusion that you can resign, but then like they probably just put your outie into overtime and say like, yeah, you don't really want to do this.
And then what do you do though? Like if they turn your outie, because that's again the thing that I had screwed up from jump. My thought was that your outie was in control, but Lumen is in control.
Mm.
And Lumen controls who is in possession of the body. So if they hit whatever that switch is and the is always on, your person now exists as this person inside Lumen.
Mm.
So now what happens? Like, do they just go to do they go to literal prison now? Are they prisoners at Lumen?
I mean, the moment you enter Lumen, that's all you are. Like your life is Lumen now.
I get that, but I'm saying like, where's your outie? Because again, they become Casey. I'm assuming whatever
Mm.
Casey/Gemma is. Once they explain it, I'm sure all of it makes sense.
So I was thinking about Helly R and her statement to her Annie. And then I saw that basically it was revealed to us Dylan in the overtime thing. And I was like, oh, that's what happened with, I'm pretty sure that's what happened with Helly R. Like they get your outie, they put you in overtime, or because they have several protocols, like, and I can't even like they have one called lullaby protocol. They have like different protocols. So yeah, you'll have to go back to that scene to like capture all of them. But I'm pretty sure they could put your outie in overtime protocol and then be like, yeah, read this letter on screen. Like making you think that like you're still at work. Like, hey, read this letter on screen.
But so you think there are different versions of an any?
Mm.
Because what I'm saying is Helly R, right, was about to cut her fingers off.
Mm.
So even if she made the video, if they turned on the overtime protocol, that would be Helly R again. She wouldn't read a letter saying
True, but like going back to like Dylan's like weird like because it was almost like he was like in like a trance state. He was like looking around like what is this? So to me like there has to be like some type of protocol that basically they can like capture control over you because like I said there are like several protocols so they can like capture control over you like without like there being so basically it's not like truly like you're any again, but I feel like there's a protocol to like kind of like put you in a trance.
so there are not different innies, just different versions of what
Right.
this can do. Okay. All right. I mean, that is so scary. So scary. And I would have thought that about Casey had they not had this talk in wellness, right? I'm thinking at this point that she was just some sort of robot, almost like artificial intelligence, right? That they're doing and she's just going through the motions. But the fact that she's aware that she's, quote, strange and that she actually enjoyed the time that she was with Data Refinement and that she's aware that she's only been awake this many hours. That was confusing to me because it's like I'm aware of time because I experience it on a 24-hour basis, right? Like there are calendars, there are clocks. So if I lose time, then I can look at a paper or look at something and be like, oh my gosh, I've been asleep for 3 days, right? It's not a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal for a human being. But for somebody that does that consistently, I don't see how she can I guess really, I don't see how they have a concept of time really outside of 8-hour increments or whatever it is they're doing, right? So they go because they don't ever leave. It's like you're there and then you go into the elevator, but you're back there. So you wouldn't know the difference between going in the elevator and being gone 10 days versus being gone 10 minutes, right? They could literally put you in the elevator and bring you back out and you think you've gone home to rest because you don't sleep, you don't get it. So I guess I'm just confused at the whole idea of her being sad that she's only had this much time to exist. And then maybe it's just because it's final, because she knows she's fired. So she knows she's not coming back. Like she's dying.
Is there a protocol that's a deeper level of control than like the people who are like just on the employees of like their regular floor? And basically I asked because like she was very specific in saying like I was basically awake for like 107 hours or whatever, which is like X amount of wellness sessions because like they're precisely 30 minutes a piece. So I guess the question that I'm leading up to, like, is she switched on just for those sessions?
It feels like it because she said that 8 hours was the only time the longest she went awake. Not very long. Like it's weird. I don't know, but I guess I don't know how to phrase this in a way that makes y'all really understand what I'm asking. Why does she have a concept of being a 30-minute increment versus that 8 hour? Other than maybe I guess that she remembers. I mean, it's like she remembers the illness sessions. Okay, so maybe that's what it is. I guess I'm not thinking that I'm thinking they turn on and they turn off and then she just resets, but she's still 107 years old, 107 hours old. So she remembers those 107 hours. But I just don't see why it would matter to a person whose life is on the loop unless she enjoys the fact that she's alive.
Yeah, so I think that's when I think that's why she says she enjoyed those 8 hours, because she was given like a task that's outside of her job and it made her seem like actual like a real person. So I think maybe that's why she enjoys those 8 hours the most. And also being she got to sit next to her husband and his work wife. I'm joking. She doesn't know that. But yeah, that's pretty much all that we have this episode. But before I go, I just want to mention I want to close on Haley R, because as I'm watching the recap, I was watching it with closed captions, and the person that we called Rick Gabi, the closed caption addresses her as unknown woman. Haley's last name is like Haley R, so we know it starts with the R, and plus the scenes where they're showing like everybody's Audi, her Audi is clearly at that Lumon party. So something to linger on. Let us know what you think about that. But yeah, D, any closing thoughts?
One episode to go, and I hope they go well.
Yeah, one episode to go. And I hope they close it on a good note. So that's all we have. Until next time.
Peace.